Hey, I'm Andy, and this is my Andrew Yang story. So I've seen Andrew Yang quite a bit on Twitter, and I always ignored him for the longest time because I figured there's absolutely no way an Asian American male could win the presidency. Also, the only other thing I knew about Andrew Yang was that the whole deal was he was going to give everybody $1,000 a month for the rest of their lives, and I thought that was just some sort of crazy gimmick. Didn't take it seriously, and so I figured he'd just, eventually go away, so I didn't really bother to look into him. It wasn't until maybe a week ago that on my Twitter feed I saw a very interesting tweet. It was a video of some young lady. I think she was at some sort of like speaking event in which a lot of the candidates were speaking to younger people, it seemed like. And so at the end of Andrew Yang's talk, this young lady just stood up and she took her Bernie Sanders pin off and basically said that she's gonna be campaigning for Andrew Yang. She pointed to Andrew Yang and said that pointing to Andrew Yang, she's like, he should be our next president or something like that. So I was a bit intrigued by that, I have to admit, because what was really interesting to me was, how is it possible for someone to change someone's mind so drastically? And so I figured, there's somebody I need to at least look into, and so that's what got me interested in looking into Andrew Yang. Was just some random tweet. So you never know, what could happen. So I looked into Andrew Yang, basically binge watched a bunch of his interviews and his speeches. And after doing so, I had the same reaction as that young lady. It's pretty much the same way I felt when I first saw Obama speak. It was just like, this is the person for the job. No one else could do this job better than this person. Same way I feel about Andrew Yang. I analyze candidates differently, I think, than a lot of people. I actually don't give too much weight to policy. I look at more of the overall picture of who the individual is. For me, the policy is more about giving me insight into how the candidate thinks. That's what, to me, that's what the policy is there for. I'm realistic enough to think that, to believe that once the candidate becomes president, there are a lot of other issues involved, or like challenges involved in them actually bringing their campaign promises to light. And it could have nothing to do with them per se. They could have all the good intentions in the world in making those campaign promises, but when it comes to being president, that's a whole other kind of issue. So I'm more of a realist when it comes to policy. Because of that, I don't really focus too much on policy per se, although that's not to say I don't care about policy at all, but it's not my number one thing. To me, again, policy gives insight into how a candidate thinks. And so what's important to me in a candidate is intelligence, authenticity. Are they honest? Are they real? Can you trust them? Are they trying to sort of say things that sound good just to make them appear a certain way? Or is that who they really are? So authenticity. Another thing is empathy. Can they empathize with people, especially the common everyday person? Are they so out of touch that they're not able to understand how how everyday people are, and how the pains that are sort of that everyday people are dealing with? Do they have the level of empathy to really understand that on a deep level? The other thing is, do they have creative solutions to challenges? Are they able to sort of come up with really out of the box type thinking, although I really hate that word, but for lack of a better word, out of the box type thinking to solutions, creative solution type problem solving. And to me, it's important that they are able to, that I can feel that they can figure things out. I can trust them to figure things out because they have that ability to problem solve. And that's what's important to me. Because I know that there will be a lot of challenges that come your way as president, and being able to solve those challenges on the fly, that's really important. So it's more like the intangible qualities to me that is important to be president. All these intangible qualities of who they are as a person. Do they have good values? Are they a good person? First of all. Do they have good intentions? So even if their policies, even if they don't fulfill all their campaign promises, did they have good intentions in making those campaign promises? Did they actually think those campaign promises were realistic? Or did they just make them because they sounded good? So that's, when it comes to policy, it's more, that's how I kind of evaluate it. It's not really like, for me, and I think I'm different from a lot of people, I don't really vote based on my best interest. For me, it's about picking the right person for the job. It's not really about like, what can this person do for me as a candidate, as president. I just look for the best person for the job, and that's it. And to me, Andrew Yang is that person. Barack Obama was that person. And there's a lot of things about Andrew Yang to me that does have a lot of parallels to Obama, although they're very different in a lot of ways as well. So Obama was, this amazing orator. You hear him speak and it's just like, you get moved, and this beautiful language and everything. With Yang, when he speaks, and if anyone still hasn't seen his DNC speech, I highly recommend checking that out. It's just one of the best speeches, in like convention type speeches that I've seen. He is able to do something similar to Obama in that, he does make you feel motivated. But with Yang, it's different. He does it in a different way. He does it in a more like realistic manner. Not to say that Obama wasn't realistic, because actually I think what is very similar between Obama and Yang is that they're both practical people, and they're both non-ideological, which is something that is really important to me. Is that someone who's just trying to figure out what the best solution is, and it's not about ideology. And so Andrew Yang and Obama, those are the similarities that they have. But with Andrew Yang, when he speaks, it's about like the details. He's really good at like focusing on the details and breaking it down and being very kind of numbers driven and facts driven and all that. So it's interesting because when he has this ability to make the data interesting, to be able to kind of convey data and information in a way that's not dry and that's not boring and that's not stale. He's able to like make it come to life, and that's one of his strengths, I think, as a speaker. So he does motivate you, but in a way that's very kind of fact-based and data-driven and all of that, which I think is very, it's like really unique skill to have So the other thing that I wanted to talk about was empathy, and I think that's something that Andrew Yang also has, a lot of empathy for other people and for especially the pains of the middle class and all that. He really has a good understanding of that because he spent a lot of time in the Rust Belt, not even as a campaigner, but as he actually worked in that area. Thing that a lot of people don't know about Andrew Yang is actually he was the second person to join to run for president. The first person, I don't even know his name, and he doesn't exist anymore in the race. But Andrew Yang put his name in there, and he was the second person to do so back in 2017, summer 2017. So a lot of people think that he's just some sort of business guy who just decided to throw his hat in the ring just for fun or whatever, but that's so far from the case. The reason why Andrew Yang got into the race is that he was in the Rust Belt area, and he saw what was going on. He saw that automation was taking away all these people's jobs, and he was really concerned for the nation and for his family. He has a family, 2 kids, and so he was really concerned about just general welfare of the public. If all these people are going to lose their jobs, what's going to happen? Is there going to be these people are going to like resort to violence and things like that? And so the thing about listening to Andrew Yang and his interviews and all that, what it has made me become more passionate or more compassionate towards Trump supporters. And that's something that is almost unthinkable for me, because I always thought Trump supporters were evil and all that, but now I'm starting to realize that there are really good reasons for them, and so the way I see it is Trump is the wrong answer to the right question. Yang is the right answer to the right question. And so to me, on top of everything else, on top of the fact that I think he's really smart, really intelligent, creative thinker, creative problem solver, comes up with really creative solutions to issues, empathetic, has good values, is someone who is authentic, trustworthy, likable. So on top of all of these things, which is an amazing combination to having one individual, because usually you have someone who's really smart and then they're kind of out of touch, and they're you don't really feel a sense that they really understand you, because they're just like too out there or too just brilliant. But Andrew Yang is this amazing combination of smarts and likability, and also down to earth. Like, you feel like he could be one of your friends. So aside from all of those things, right, I also think he has the right diagnosis for what the middle class is facing, and for even society as a whole is facing. He's the only one, as far as I know, who's talking about the 4th industrial revolution. And now Biden is starting to talk about it, so a lot of other candidates are going to start talking about the things that he's campaigning on, because he's kind of bringing that to light. But this whole idea of automation taking over people's jobs, I mean, you can see it, like Amazon closing down all these stores. You go to your local Safeway and you see that there's all these automatic checkout, and you don't really see the place for where humans are checking you out is almost empty, and then now you got all this automatic checkout and stuff. So I think he just has a good understanding of what the middle class is facing and why the rise of Donald Trump, basically. I feel very strongly that if Andrew Yang manages to win the primary, and if Trump doesn't get impeached by the Senate and does end up running for president again, I have no doubt in my mind that Andrew Yang going against Trump would win by a landslide. It could possibly be one of the biggest landslide victories, I think, because Andrew Yang has such a diverse base of supporters, and then you got all the Democrats going to support him, and then there's been so many polling that indicates that he gets 10% of Trump voters. So I think just that combination. So basically Andrew Yang just needs to win the primary, and then I have no doubt that he will be president. Anyway, that's why I'm for Andrew Yang, and to me he's by far the best candidate. You look at his DNC speech compared to all the other speakers, you look at any of his long-form interviews, I think he will come to the same conclusion. I mean, to me it's like hard not to. It's all the other candidates, to me it just feels like when they're talking, it just feels like crickets. It just feels like, oh, this again, same old, same old. When Yang speaks, it's like vibrant in color. It's like 4K TV, it's just like, it just comes to life. And so anyway, so now I'm just rambling, but that's my Yang story, and I'll probably make more videos, actually more focused videos, but I figure I'd just make this one, and it turned out to be a lot longer than I wanted it to be, but I hope you didn't mind. Anyway, if you want, subscribe, give it a like, and all that stuff, all that good stuff, because the robots of YouTube love it when you comment, and they like the videos. Give the videos more credentials when you comment and like and all that. So please do that, and more importantly, share this video if you like it. See you next time, maybe.